Before we move forward, a quick reminder. If this content is helping you reflect, practice, or see English differently, subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might need it. That support helps this channel grow and continue offering conversations like this, honest, slow, and human. Now, let's talk about something very real, something many English learners experience silently. You understand English. You follow podcasts. You watch videos. You read comments. Sometimes you even think in English. But when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank.
This experience is far more common than people admit. And the worst part is not the difficulty itself. The worst part is the confusion it creates. People start asking themselves questions like, why can I understand everything but still can't speak? Am I doing something wrong? Am I blocked? Is my brain bad at languages? And slowly, without noticing, self-doubt grows.
But here's something very important to understand from the beginning. This gap between understanding and speaking is not a failure. It is not a defect. It is not a lack of intelligence. It is a natural stage of language learning, and a stage many people never learn how to pass through.
Understanding a language and speaking a language are related, but they are not the same skill. Understanding is receptive. Speaking is productive, and the brain processes these two skills in completely different ways.
Understanding without speaking. What's really happening? When you listen or read in English, your brain is recognizing patterns. It sees familiar structures. It guesses meaning from context. It fills gaps automatically. This process becomes faster over time, even if you don't actively study grammar.
But speaking requires something extra. Speaking means creating language in real time. You're not just recognizing something that already exists, you're building a sentence from nothing. And that process is much more vulnerable to fear, pressure, and self-judgment.
That's why people often say, I know what I want to say, but I can't say it. The thought exists, the intention exists, but the bridge between thought and speech collapses.
And that collapse usually happens because the brain doesn't feel safe. Not because it doesn't know English, but because it feels evaluated.
The silent pressure learners carry. Most learners don't realize how much pressure they put on themselves. They don't say it out loud, but internally they're thinking, I should be better by now. I've studied too long to sound like this. I can't make basic mistakes anymore.
That pressure turns every speaking moment into a performance. And when language becomes a performance, the brain enters survival mode.
In survival mode, the brain doesn't focus on creativity or communication. It focuses on avoiding mistakes. And avoiding mistakes often results in saying nothing.
Silence feels safer than sounding wrong.
Why your brain freezes even with simple questions. Let's look at a very common situation. Someone asks you a simple question in English. How was your day? What do you do for work? You know these questions. You've heard them many times, but suddenly your mind goes blank.
This happens because your brain is trying to do too much at once. It's trying to choose the correct grammar, select the best vocabulary, control pronunciation, monitor accent, predict the listener's reaction, all at the same time.
That's cognitive overload. When the brain is overloaded, it freezes. Not because it lacks information, but because it lacks emotional safety.
Emotional safety is the missing piece.
Many learners think the solution is more vocabulary or more grammar, but often the real missing piece is emotional safety. Emotional safety means feeling allowed to speak imperfectly, allowed to pause, allowed to restart a sentence, allowed to sound simple.
Children learn languages fast, not because they are smarter, but because they don't feel judged.
They speak before they're ready. They make mistakes constantly, and no one expects perfection.
Adults expect perfection from themselves, and that expectation becomes the biggest obstacle.
Speaking is not a test, but many learners treat it like one.
A test has right answers and wrong answers.
Communication doesn't.
Communication is about clarity, intention, and connection.
When you focus too much on correctness, you lose connection.
And when connection is lost, fluency disappears.
Why speaking feels unnatural. Many learners say, when I speak English, I don't feel like myself. That feeling is real.
Your personality developed in your native language, your humor, your rhythm, your emotional expressions.
When you speak English, you're temporarily operating with fewer tools, so your personality feels compressed.
That doesn't mean English will always feel this way. It means your English personality is still growing.
The mistake of waiting to feel ready. A very common belief is, I'll speak when I feel confident.
But confidence is not a prerequisite, it's a consequence.
You don't speak because you're confident. You become confident because you speak.
Waiting to feel ready delays the entire process.
Speaking alone is not silly, it's strategic.
Some learners feel embarrassed speaking alone. They think it's useless.
But speaking alone removes the biggest barrier, judgment.
It allows your brain to practice production without pressure. And pressure is what blocks fluency the most.
A gentle reflection. If you understand English but struggle to speak, ask yourself, am I giving my brain a safe space to practice speaking, or only consuming content silently?
Understanding prepares the ground, but speaking is what builds the path.
Now that we've talked about why this gap exists, let's go deeper into what actually keeps it alive. Because understanding without speaking doesn't stay neutral. Over time, it creates frustration. Frustration creates tension, and tension blocks progress even more.
That's why many learners feel like they are stuck in the same place for years. They keep consuming English, they keep understanding more, but speaking never feels easier. And they start to wonder if something is permanently broken.
The habit of mental translation.
One of the biggest reasons speaking feels unnatural is mental translation.
When you understand English, your brain often allows translation. It hears English, it converts it into your native language, meaning arrives.
But speaking works in the opposite direction. You start with a thought in your native language and then try to translate it into English.
This is slow, heavy, and emotionally exhausting.
Translation creates delay, and delay creates insecurity.
Why your mind goes blank mid-sentence.
Many learners start a sentence confidently and then suddenly stop.
That usually happens because the sentence became too complex.
Your brain tried to translate a full idea, not a simple structure.
Fluent speakers don't translate ideas. They use ready-made patterns.
Patterns like, I think that, I feel like, what I mean is, the reason is.
These patterns buy time.
They allow the brain to continue thinking while speaking.
Fluency is not speed.
It's flow.
Flow means continuing, even if it's slow.
Pausing without panic.
Rephrasing without shame.
Choosing simple words instead of stopping.
Why simplicity unlocks speaking.
There is a deep fear among learners of sounding simple.
Simple feels childish.
But simple is powerful.
Native speakers use simple structures constantly.
Complex language is optional. Simple language is essential.
If you force complexity too early, you freeze.
Emotional tension lives in the body, not the mind.
Another thing people underestimate is the body.
Speaking anxiety is not just mental, it's physical.
Tight chest, shallow breathing, rigid jaw.
When the body is tense, the voice suffers.
And when the voice feels weak, confidence drops.
Why practicing calmly matters more than practicing hard.
Some learners try to push through fear.
They force themselves into stressful situations.
That can work for some, but for many, it reinforces fear.
Because the brain remembers emotional experiences.
If speaking is always stressful, the brain learns to avoid it.
Calm repetition retrains the brain.
The illusion of "I'll speak later."
Many learners tell themselves, I'll speak when my English is better.
But English doesn't get better without speaking.
Speaking is not the reward, it's the training.
Listening alone is not enough.
Listening builds comprehension.
But production requires activation.
You must activate language for it to become usable.
Activation only happens when you produce.
Repetition creates trust.
The brain trusts what it repeats.
If you repeat silence, the brain trusts silence.
If you repeat speaking, even imperfectly, the brain trusts speech.
Trust removes hesitation.
A powerful mindset shift.
Instead of asking, did I speak well today? Ask, did I speak today?
Frequency matters more than quality at first.
Quality improves naturally with frequency.
Reflection moment.
Ask yourself honestly, where am I trying to be perfect instead of present?
Presence unlocks fluency. At this point, something important needs to be said. Speaking fluently is not about fixing your English. It's about changing your relationship with it.
Many learners think fluency arrives after they eliminate mistakes. But fluent people still make mistakes. They just don't stop because of them. Fluency begins when fear stops being in charge.
The real shift happens when fear loses authority.
Fear doesn't disappear completely.
It just stops deciding your actions.
You speak even when your voice shakes a little.
You continue even when the sentence isn't perfect.
Identity is more powerful than knowledge.
People often say, "I'm learning English."
That's true, but incomplete.
Fluent speakers don't see themselves as learners forever.
They see themselves as people who use English.
Identity shapes behavior.
If you see yourself as someone who speaks English, you speak.
Stop waiting for permission.
Many learners are subconsciously waiting for permission.
Permission from a teacher, from a test score, from confidence.
But permission never arrives.
You have to take it. Fluency grows in imperfect moments.
The moments that feel uncomfortable are the most important ones.
The pauses, the corrections, the rephrasing.
These moments train flexibility.
And flexibility is the core of natural speech.
Why consistency beats motivation.
Motivation is emotional.
Consistency is structural.
If you depend on motivation, speaking will be irregular.
But if speaking is part of your routine, progress is inevitable.
Small daily speaking rituals.
You don't need long conversations every day.
You need daily activation.
Talking to yourself, describing your thoughts, reacting out loud to what you hear.
These micro moments compound.
Stop measuring yourself against natives.
Comparison is another hidden block.
You're not becoming someone else. You're becoming yourself in another language.
Accent is not failure, it's identity.
Why your voice needs time to settle.
Your voice in English may feel strange at first.
That's normal.
Your mouth, rhythm, and intonation are adjusting.
This is physical learning, not intellectual.
Trust builds after repetition, not before.
Many people wait to trust themselves before speaking.
But trust is built after action.
Speak first.
Trust follows.
Let go of the final level illusion.
There is no final level.
Fluency is not a destination.
It's a state of movement.
The moment you stop fearing mistakes, you're already fluent in practice.
Reflection moment. Ask yourself this. If I stopped trying to sound perfect, how much more would I speak?
That answer is your next step.
Final reframing.
You don't lack ability.
You lack permission.
And permission is something you give yourself.